In this tutorial, we are going to talk about 4 different ways to do seamless or jogless color changes so that you don't end up with your stripes looking kind of jagged right here. You can see if you just do normal color changes, you're going to get these steps and your lines aren't going to connect very smoothly. It looks smooth on the front, but the back side is where you're going to see this ugly seam. So if you are not a fan of this and want to try doing seamless or sometimes referred to as jogless color changes, I'm going to show you 4 different ways and you can go ahead and pick your favorite. I definitely have a favorite. I think some are better than others, but I'd like to hear your opinion. Let's get right into it. So I did a lot of research on different variations of the jogless color change, and I've seen this called a couple of different things, including the no-cut join. But what we're going to do is we're going to be working half color changes with this particular technique and doing some slip stitches. So to start this sample, I was working normally in the round. So, magic ring of 6, increase row, and then increase 1, increase 2, things like that. And then I did a couple rounds of just regular single crochet, getting up to these stripes. So I'm going to show you how to do the first round of color changes. Now what we're going to do is I've crocheted all the way around. Now we're going to slip stitch into the first stitch of the round. And then we're going to chain 1 with our new color. And now we're going to work a round of half color changes all the way around. And if you've never done this technique before, it's fairly simple. We're going to work back into the same stitch that we just slip stitched into. So we're going to insert our hook. We're going to drop the green yarn. I'm yarning under, but you can yarn over if that's the technique you prefer. So I yarn under with the brown. I'm going to twist the yarn and drop the brown, yarn under with the green. And so as you're doing this, you're keeping the green on top and the brown on the bottom. So into the next stitch, we're going to drop the green, pull up a loop of the brown, and then drop the brown and pull up a loop of the green. Like so. I'll meet you back around when I finish this round. Alright, so I've made it back around and we finished our half color changes. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first chain and make sure to do a count of your stitches. Make sure you didn't add one by accident. And then we're just going to chain 1 and I'm going to work 1 round of single crochet in the green, and then you would follow this same process that we just did to change back to the brown. So I'll show you what that looks like here in just 1 second. So I finished that round of single crochet. Now if we wanted to change back to the brown, we would slip stitch into the first stitch and then chain 1 with our new color. And then repeat the same steps. Do 1 round of half color changes all the way around, where we pull up with the green first and finish with the brown. This time keeping the brown on top and the green on the bottom. Like so. Now, as far as this being seamless, it is, and you can't really tell there's a jog where the colors change. However, my big issue with this particular method is I don't like this seam that's created by the slip stitches. And that's just a personal preference. If you don't mind this, or if this is going to be on the back of your piece, then this is a pretty easy way to do the jogless color change. The only other issue I've found with this particular technique is with the half color changes themselves. I don't know if you noticed, there's a slight indent created on the side of my work, and I don't know if that's a tension thing. When I post about it on Instagram, A commenter mentioned there's a certain way to twist your yarn where you won't get this indent, but I have yet to figure out quite what that is, so if I do figure it out, I will go ahead and let you know. But that is just one of the kind of effects I've noticed with this particular technique. So let me show you the next one. For the next color change technique, I've got two samples here because it's basically the same thing, but two slightly different variations of it. So this technique uses what has been referred to as a circle join. I kind of like to think of it as more of like a tricky slip stitch, sort of, but you'll see what I mean in a second. So the main difference between these two is that in this technique, I've done my initial magic ring and in the initial part of my sample as normal. So there's no joins, it's just continuous single crochet all the way around until we get to our very first color change. And there is a slight jog on this one, so it is not perfect, but it's super minor. So if you want something that is, pretty close and you just kind of want to do a little bit easier, then this probably would be a decent method. This one, I started my magic ring and then I've been doing the same joining technique the entire project. And the jog is much more seamless. However, you do have a very clear seam. So it's kind of up to you what you prefer to do. It does create a big bump on the inside of your work, but that's not a huge deal. So I'll show you how to do this one first, and then I'll show you how to do this one, and you can kind of compare. And if you're wondering about these cute little stitch markers, they are made by my friend Coco Knitted Creations. I don't know if she's actually selling stitch markers at this moment, but if you want to check out her website, I will link it in the description box below. Let's get back to the tutorial. Alright, so I'm going to back up a step here. So we have finished our round. Okay, so in the last stitch of the round, we're going to change colors by finishing the stitch in the new color. But now we're going to pull up a loop and coming from the back, we're going to come out of the next stitch. We're going to grab our loop, put it back on our hook, and pull tight so that you've got enough tension, and kind of hook the bottom of this loop and pull it back through so that it's up and behind the work. And then we're going to just go back into that very same stitch, and we're going to single crochet in our new color all the way around. And then when you've finished your single crochet all the way around, if you're going to be changing colors again, you're going to repeat the same process where you pull up a loop, insert your hook from the back, grab this loop and pull it. Or if you're going to keep working in the same color, you can just single crochet directly into that very first stitch, which might be slightly tighter than the rest. And you can just keep working continuously all the way around. I do recommend placing a stitch marker at this point so that you can keep track of your rounds. But yeah, that is how you are going to do, I'm going to say version number 1 of this loop join technique. So it does have a slight jog, but it's fairly simple. Let's look at the version number 2. So for version 2 of this technique, we've done that same sort of pull the loop up from the back technique from the very beginning, from our magic ring. And it has created a noticeable seam, but like I said, the jog is almost seamless. So to do this one, there is a very slight difference. So we're going to pull up our loop, And this first stitch might be a little bit tight, so you can always go in from the front and kind of loosen it up a little bit. Then come in from the back. And make sure your yarn tail is pulled towards the back too. So we're going to put our loop back on, pull it tight, and bring it back up the other side. Now with the previous technique, we just immediately started working, but now what we're going to do is change colors by chaining one, and then we're going to work back into the same stitch that we connected with, and we're going to single crochet all the way around. And we've come back around. Now again, if you're going to change colors immediately, you would do the connection and then chain one in the new color. However, if I was going to follow this stripe here, I'm going to do another row of green. So I would do my join and chain one in the green and keep on going. I'm going to just stretch out this first stitch a little bit so I can get into it from the back. Pull it tight, pull up a loop, chain one, and keep on crocheting around. And there you have it. That is how to do version 2 of this loop join technique. Let's get into our final version, and I think the easiest one. So in this last version, you can see that there is a slight jog. Come on, camera. There we go. Okay. There's a slight jog between where the row starts here and ends here. However, this method is so much easier than all of the rest that I think it's worth it to have that teeny tiny imperfection, I guess. And it's up to you. If you want your project to be, like super perfect, super seamless, definitely recommend going with version 2 of the previous color change method, even though there is this seam here. So, but let's get into this one. It is by far my favorite out of all of them. So I have changed colors in the last stitch of the round. Now to continue, I'm going to slip stitch into the very first stitch, and then we're just going to single crochet all the way around. And now that we've completed our round, if you wanted to change colors again, we'd follow the same process, change colors in the last stitch, slip stitch in the beginning. However, I'm going to do one more round of green, and to do that, you're just going to work into the slip stitch like normal and single crochet all the way around. Like so. And that's it. Simply changing colors and doing a slip stitch in the very first stitch of the round. That's it. It's by far the easiest method I've come across to do seamless color changes. And yes, it's not perfect. There is a teeny tiny jog, but overall, I think this is so much easier and so much more efficient of your time, But that's just my personal opinion. So let me know what you thought. What was your favorite? So here we have the normal color change, no seamless technique used. Then we have our first project, which is the no cut join, where we went and did half color changes. And then we've got version 1, where we did our loop join when we did color changes, and version 2 of that technique, where we did the loop join the entire time in the project. And finally, our last version where we did a slip stitch at the beginning of the round. If you'd like the written version or tutorial for all of these samples, go ahead and go to my blog post. You can find the download link there, and I'll have everything linked in the description. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'd love to see your thoughts. So share in the comments which technique is your favorite, which do you think is the easiest, and yeah, I'd just like to hear from you. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.